So I'm here to get advice and to share my journey, which started in one place, and the last bit of writing that we did not end up where I thought it would end up. So I want to show you where we started and what we did to get started, or what we did over a series of lessons, and then the writing that the kids did. So my objectives were for kids to be able to understand what an upstander was, be able to describe or name the actions or words, and then to write about it. But I didn't know what that writing was going to look like. I had an idea. And the kids had already, here are the kindergarten objectives. We'd already done our narrative and informative writing, and they're sort of in the middle of opinion. So I was thinking it might be sort of an opinion piece. But as things change as we went along. So, I started by giving an explanation to kids of what an upstander is. We kept a chart, which is up here. So we talked about what an upstander is. An upstander is a person who speaks up, doesn't tease. I tried to put things in the positive. They include others. We gave some words to that, and I'll talk about that. And that the last thing you do is get help, unless it's an emergency, that you want to try to take these actions on yourself. That's what an upstander does. And so I decided, the first book that I read to my kids was called H Kindness. And it's the story of a little girl who moves into a new school, and she's poor, and am I standing in the way? I'm not going to go through the story, but she wants to befriend a little girl who sits next to her, named Chloe. The little girl's name is Maya, and Chloe has an opportunity to be nice to her, to smile to her, to share her pencils with her, this kind of thing, and she chooses not to. And then the kids start making fun of her because of her clothes and the things she brings to school. And then Maya doesn't come back to school. And this is Chloe. And the teacher has told them a story about when you drop a pebble into water, the ripple effect and what happens. One little thing can cause so many nice things to happen. And so the story is about it ends with the things that she wished she had done that she didn't do. So I took that into, this is the conversation these are the things that came out of the conversation, which was a very rich conversation about what kinds of things, what do you think Chloe wishes she could have done towards Maya? So these were the things that they talked about, that she could have smiled back, shared her toys, you get the idea. And then this really wonderful conversation came up about the word regret. That you don't always get another chance to be nice. And being nice is really hard to put into terms. So we decided to turn those things into action so that the kids had something that they could really hold on to. So we made a list, and then the same thing came from the story, The Juice Box Bully, which is a story of another new boy in school who is a bully. And so we followed the same kind of theme with identifying the characters, who they felt the upstander was and why. But then we learned that we needed to give the kids some words to use. So we practiced, a lot of these lessons involved role-playing as a whole class, and then role-playing with a partner, particularly for my EL students, and giving them words that they can use, because it's one thing to understand what it is, but when you put it into action, what is it that I'm really going to say? This one was my favorite. Will you join us? And I have heard that on the playground.
Amazing.
Yes, will you join us? And how do you tell if somebody is wanting to play with you but won't use the words? So there was a lot of conversation around this, and for young children, the listening and speaking standards are so important, and they need a chance to practice. I'm nervous. Can you tell my voice?
It's just us.
They need a chance to practice with their peers, and practice saying what they want to be able to write eventually. Because our school motto is, if they can't say it, they can't write it. So because we realize how important it is for kids to have a chance to talk. And then I brought this along to show you that I also did some modeled writing, so I brought the worst one to share with you. Because I had this great idea about modeling sort of an opinion piece. And when I was writing this, I knew it was a mess. And I didn't stop, I kept going. Because I wanted to have an introduction and a conclusion and reasons why you would do what you did. It's because I'm thinking, you know, at the end, this is what I think I want them to do. And I finished it because I was doing these lessons. But it was a mess. And part of it was because I hadn't actually practiced writing an opinion piece about upstanders myself. And when I did it in front of the kids instead of doing it myself first. So you know we all learn from those things. So that's just a little bit of advice. Practice it yourself first. So what I would like to do now is share some student work with you, and it's a body of work. So I don't have copies for you. I also should mention that I wanted this to be real experience for the kids, so the playground is the perfect place for kids to start practicing being upstanders. So a lot of our conversations included in these lessons were about something that happened on the playground, which could have happened every day after recess and lunch. So I chose to have my prompt be this. I told a story about Lucy, and she wanted to play on the rings, and she counted to 40, which is our school rule. And she got to 40 and no one would get off, and so she just stood there with a sad face. And so my question to the kids, what I wanted them to write about is, you see Lucy standing, you saw that she counted to 40. What would you do, and why would that make you an upstander? And I want to show you the work. I'm going to show you a body of work, and then I'd like you to just comment on what you see and where you think I should go, and I have some questions at the end of all that. So I'm going to read these to you because I know that you don't all read Kinder. Although actually these are pretty easy to read. So there's a picture, and here's Lucy. I would say, please, can you get off? These are several these are similar. I'm going to sort of group them for you. This one, I would say, please do not say that, but the reason I chose this one is because one of the kindergarten standards is drawing a picture and being able to tell. So his picture is rich, very rich. So this is him here, and no, that's not right. He's over here, and he's trying to help. There's a lot going on, but then he talks to this student, and this student calls him a loser. Ooh. And so he says, please do not say that. So you can see there's a great deal going on there. And this one is along the same line. I would tell the people to please get off. Lucy wants to go to the monkey bars. If they do not play with Lucy, I would play with her. Oh. Then this is a different group. I grouped these together. I would stand up for Lucy. If they're teasing her, I will stand up for her. Upstanders stand up for people. Upstanders help people. Upstanders are smart. Upstanders are nice. Upstanders work. Upstanders do not scream. Upstanders go to school. And then this is just another way I group this. I would say, could you please stop teasing my friend? If you don't stop, I will tell the teacher. And this is another similar one. I would say, will you please get off the bars? Upstanders help other people. I feel happy when I help people. And then this one is very special to me. This is a EL student who only started speaking about a month ago. Wow. But her writing is, I would say, when we get to 40, you have to get off. I would say, let's play another thing. Let's play together. I would say, let's say to the teacher what happened. So you can see that I didn't get the kind of writing that I started out to get, or that I wanted. And I got, actually I'm not going to comment. What do you see in the kids' writing?
Do me a favor. put the prompt up again. And you asked them to do,
I asked what they would do. This is them. This is the student. What would you do? I didn't say what would you do to help her. I said what would you do if you saw this, and whatever you choose to do, how would you relate that to being an upstander?
because here's the interesting thing. I actually think you want more than the standards ask for.
Well, that's okay.
Which is,
I do.
Which is very, very, very okay. But I don't read Kinder, so I don't always catch these things. Because at the Kinder level, it's called state an opinion or preference, which would be more what you would do, right? So grade 1, it's state an opinion, supply a reason, and some closure. And even though maybe you wanted more, that second level is already heading there.
Yes.
It seems to me. Now, I don't read Kinder, so somebody tell me if I'm crazy or not.
Well, can you put up the student work where the little boy was called a loser?
Yes.
Because going back to Jane's paper here with the Kinder standards, it says use a combination of drawing, dictating, and writing to compose opinion pieces. So not only did he have the drawing there, which he labeled and identified the different parts that were going on, he didn't, I mean, the standard allows for the teacher to write what they're thinking, and have you written down everything he said as he told the story, you would have a whole lot there. But that he had the ability, the spaces, the word formation, you know, you can read what he wrote. There's nothing there that's illegible or undiscernible. I would say please do not say that. And even though it didn't match your prompt with the little girl on the thing, so it was slightly off topic, but still he's saying don't say that. So he was recognizing that that one student calling him a loser that's not okay. That's not what we do as upstanders. We don't talk that way. So I think that, you know, he has a lot going on there and telling what's happening in that picture.
So one of the things that, you know, seeing these Kinder pieces, I think they internalized what an upstander is. They gave you the actions that demonstrate these people are upstanders. They didn't necessarily have the vocabulary and the writing skills to put it on paper, but they have shown you the actions that demonstrate that they do understand what an upstander is. So you've met the standard.
And I think in almost all of them, the combination of the drawing and the writing comes together to form a complete piece, particularly in this one. This one has a whole graphic novel going on.
Yeah.
I would like to see the one again where he ends with, I feel happy when I help people. Because I felt like that was a conclusion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, closure is first mentioned in grade 1.
Let me see this.
I would say.
Will you
read it?
get
I
off?
said, I would say, will you get off the bars? Upstanders help other people. I feel happy when I help people.
So he
There you
actually did everything you asked.
Yeah.
Right.
And a closure statement after. What would you do? How does that relate to upstander?
Yeah.
And then he even concludes. That's really good. And is the person saying teacher?
The person is saying something, and I didn't write it down, so I don't remember. And it comes out of her mouth, so it's backwards. So she told me what it was, but I can't recall. Which is a lot of young people do that when they do the word bubble. They make the letters come out this way, the opposite way that you write.
I've never seen that. That's really funny.
So I'm not sure what it says.
Well, I was curious about it too, because I read there to Cleo, and I thought, good grief, the other book?
And Chloe.
So these are really interesting comments, because this is what I saw when I looked at the work. I saw, I was looking to see if they understood what an upstander was, so I could see some suggestions. I didn't want to see, I would tell the teacher. So, you know, for me, that wasn't something I was I wasn't unhappy about, but clearly some more conversations need to go on. But then I saw these couple of papers that just say what an upstander does, but it doesn't it doesn't say what they would do. And a lot of it might have just been copying, because those things were up on the board. And it's interesting to me too that in their narrative work they're very good at writing an intro and a concluding sentences, and that I didn't see that. I purposely didn't ask them to write a certain genre. I wanted to see what they did. And I like the fact that there's a lot of blending of what they've learned. Mm-hmm. It's just not as sophisticated as I was hoping to see from what they've learned from their other writing. I don't see, but I know they're young.
Yeah.
But it's better than what I wrote.
But to talk to that, you were nervous that you were struggling while you were writing with it and you weren't happy, but I think that's so important for our students to see, whether we're in 6th grade, 2nd grade, kindergarten, that writing doesn't magically happen on a page. It doesn't just come out and be perfect. Because I think if our kids see us as writers struggling with that makes it okay for them. Yeah. I always say, gosh, my first sentence is always my hardest because I'm looking at this blank piece of paper and what do I want it to say? And then, so that makes it easier for them to get started. What do I want it to say? And I think that allowing kids to see that we struggle with that is very empowering for our little writers.
Mm-hmm. I think I could have framed it, though, what do you think about this? I was thinking I could have said something like, or thought about this ahead of time. I'd like your suggestions. Do I want them to write a narrative about what they would do as an upstander? Do I want an opinion of what an upstander is? Do I want information about what they saw someone else do that made that person an upstander? I wasn't clear on what I wanted, and I was comfortable with that because I wanted to see what they did. But is that something that you think should be explained or asked for first, or it can inform my teaching? Probably. That definitely can inform my teaching, but
I'm wondering if it's a different issue. Yeah. Okay, and this again, I don't know the age well enough. They're getting a lot of fiction narrative reading. I know what you do, they're getting a lot of informational reading. How much opinion are they hearing? I would think as far as a genre, it's maybe not something they hear a lot. I mean, they hear opinions, but not as a genre in school. Am I close?
I think that's, yes.
Okay,
I'm not sure I'm teaching it well. So,
and this, even though this isn't asking for much, they don't have internalized, they haven't heard enough opinion connected to writing to fall back on anything, is my theory, which could be half-cocked.
No, I think it's true.
Yeah, and when you're thinking your opinion in kindergarten, it's I think, or my favorite, or I like, and that's really kind of where they are.
Yeah.
Because everything's about me.
Right.
I don't think about really much other than me as a kindergartner, or a 6th grader, by the way. And
or a senior.
But they really, it is all about them. And I think for them saying, I think they did more than what you saw, because I think you had this little vision in your head of what you were hoping for. But like you said, were you asking them to give a narrative of what they would do? Were you asking them to define the upstander? So I think that you gave them a big broad range of what they wanted to write about because you wanted to see where they went with it.
And I think developmentally they went where they can, because like you
Yes.
said, it's all about me. As if someone has a kindergartner, you read them a story, but they still have a hard time making that connection.
Right.
You can talk all you want about, well, what if you were here? But it's still out there,
Yes.
and they're still living
The
here
connection part is
inside
very
of
tricky.
yes,
Very right about
yes.
that.
But for what they
And in
were
terms of the
given.
framing the prompt, I think it really depends on what what you want. I mean, I think what you did here was to let them explore the idea, and I think there's a great value in that, and just letting them dive in and explore and see where it goes. On the other hand, if you wanted to be more specific, you know, and have them either write a narrative or an opinion piece in terms of what an opinion piece is for kindergarten, then yes, you might have framed the prompt a little differently. But I don't think there's anything wrong in the least with the way that you did it. And I think what came out of it was actually really exciting, because you see all of these different approaches, and they're not cookie cutter, you know, which is what you might have gotten had you used
A
your
formula.
model,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I think this informed you a whole lot more about where
It
your
did.
students are in
Yes.
terms
Right.
of how they're thinking about it. I
Mhm.
mean, so it gave you a lot of information
It
of
did.
what to think about next.
It did.
The little one that you have projected up there now, where he maybe wasn't able to identify with the prompt and be able to do that, he was able to show you that he is understanding what an upstander is.
Absolutely.
And the
So
facial expressions are perfect.
His illustration, I think, right there
It's
is,
really clear who's.
I am an
What I
upstander.
like with the
Yeah.
speech bubble that you were talking about is, I would have read it 3, 2, 1, but
Right,
he's
it's
counting
1, 2,
1,
Uh-huh.
2,
See that there?
3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've never noticed that.
And he's writing complete sentences.
Student's
Mhm.
name begin with T. Wearing K-shirt.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.